You are listening to Hit Play, Not Pause, a feisty menopause podcast for active, performance-minded women. I am your host, Celine Yeager. Each week, I bring you advice from athletes, scientists, researchers, and other experts to help you feel and perform your best, no matter what your hormones are doing. This show is a production of Live Feisty Media. Hello, strong, feisty women. Welcome to Hit Play Not Pause, the podcast where I really do not want you to suffer for nearly a decade before you get help. This week's show is emblematic of why I started this podcast to begin with, because women have and are still suffering way too long before seeking, getting, and sometimes honestly just accepting the care that they need. And this week's guest, Olympian runner and broadcaster Carrie Tollefson, is a prime example of that entire process. She suffered a long time, like 7 years, feeling like she could and maybe should just tough it out. And when her hormone doctor, one more time, she suffered a long time, feeling like she could and maybe should just tough it out. And when her doctor floated hormone therapy, she resisted because she was afraid of risks and maybe unwanted side effects. And as a quick aside, during the conversation, she mentions how her dad sort of made a disparaging comment about hormones and how they put livestock like cattle on hormones to beef them up. And in our conversation, she recalled that as him saying, they put horses on hormones. And then she emailed me right after the show and was like, whoops, let's chalk that one up to menopause. I did not mean horses. But anyway, this all just led to a prolonged period where she simply wasn't herself. And to be clear, her usual self is a super active go-getter. As an elite middle distance runner, Carrie was a 13-time state champion, 8 in track and 5 in cross country. And that's in the state of Minnesota, where she lives now. And she was a 5-time NCAA champion at Villanova, Pennsylvania, where I am. And in her post-collegiate career, Carrie was a 3-time national champion and represented the USA at the 2004 Olympic Games in Athens, Greece. She still runs and is now a broadcaster for major marathons and a podcast host. So, her symptoms, which included rage and fatigue and brain fog, really took a toll. And finally getting and accepting the care she needed gave her her life back. It's definitely something we can all learn from. And that's Carrie's ethos and why she's sharing all of this with us today. Living in Minnesota with her husband and 3 kids, she lives to empower others to pursue active, healthy lifestyles and encourages everyone to go after it. So you can learn more about her and her work at ctollrun.com. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. I hope you enjoy this one as much as I did. All right, before we get to it, give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Feisty Menopause. Come join our private Hit Play Not Pause Facebook community where you can help each other out with 34,000 other women. And head into the show notes to sign up for my completely free Feisty 40 Plus newsletter for all the training news you can use. Thanks as always for those 5-star ratings that continue to come in. If you like this show, please share it with a friend. It really helps to continue to grow. All right, with that, enough of me. Let's have a few words about our awesome sponsors and get on with the show. All right, Carrie, welcome to Hit Play Not Pause.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting. I got to chat with you just a couple weeks ago, and I just felt like I connected with you right away. So, such an honor to be on your show.
Oh, thanks so much. I want to get right into it because I was reading your bio, doing my homework as one does, and it really does seem like you were literally born to run. You were a 13-time state champion in Minnesota. I could go on and on. 5-time NCAA champion at Villanova, my home state. 3-time national champ post-college, and you represented the U.S. Olympics in 2004, just to name a few
Yeah.
things. And you were on a bunch of magazine covers that I worked for, like Runner's World.
Oh my
So
gosh.
when did you discover that you had I had a gift for running?
I think we kind of knew early. When I
Okay.
was little and on the playground, I think the Phy Ed teacher actually called my parents and said, she's a really fast runner. Like, I don't know if I've seen anyone that can run fast and keep going, when we do the mile or even the touchdowns that I would get when I played with the guys. Like my touchdowns were like the handoff from one fence to the next. So I think we knew early, but I didn't know, right? Like I started
Yeah.
running as a 12-year-old in seventh grade, and where I grew up was rural Minnesota, and we could compete in the state of Minnesota, still can at the state in seventh grade.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I started running in seventh grade. I ran with my one of my bigger sisters. One was in college already, the other one was a senior. And so I just went out for a team that I could be on with her, and then obviously fell in love with it.
So the family runs? Like it sounds like a family of runners.
Yeah, so my mom was never allowed to play sports, but
Mm,
she always worked out and she loved to do different things. But my dad played college football. He was a college football player. And then he went on to try to lose some of that football weight and became an endurance athlete. So that's kind of where we got the introduction to it. But then my sisters were amazing athletes. And, I just followed suit. My oldest sister was really smart. She loved school. I'd like to say I loved school. I loved the social part of school,
mm.
but she loved to study and take the tests. And then she was a really good musician, but also a very good athlete. So she kind of was like the whole package. And then my middle sister, who happened to be a teacher, didn't really love school, but was very good at athletics and more of the sprinter type. So I just followed suit, being the youngest of, three girls and having a mom and dad that were active. It's just what our family did.
That's cool. That's really cool. And these days you're in the broadcast booth. You were a member of the team at the 2024 Paris Olympics, if I am
Ah,
correct on that. You're a
yep.
podcast host, an MC, a coach, etc. What does your work entail now? I mean, are you mostly doing that broadcast piece?
Yeah. I mean, I would say broadcast is the majority. And then I have my podcast, which
Yep.
is currently just taking a little tiny break. We've been going since 2011, so just
That's
needed a
so
little
long.
break. It's so
It's
long.
so long.
And we hadn't missed more than 5 Thursdays since
That's crazy.
2011. You know, I've had 4 pregnancies, I have 3 babies. Like, I've had a lot going on in my
Dude, I
life.
have no idea. I
And
know.
and plus I travel the world for the broadcast, for the podcast, for emceeing. Like it's so fun and everyone is busy in their right way, but I just needed a little break from one thing on my list. So I miss it so much and I'm very jealous that you still have yours going every week. But I will get back out.
I'm
And
just going on 5 years, my friend.
yeah,
I
it's so
haven't been
great
here since
though.
2011.
And doesn't it fill your soul? Like you're so
Yes,
good at it, but like knowing that people listen or relate or have learned from you
yes.
or get to
It
hear
is
these
very
awesome
satisfying
stories.
work.
I
It
know.
is,
It's just, I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really, really is. And are your kids, you've got three. Are they young? Are they like still?
They're still pretty young. I mean, our oldest is Ruby. She's a freshman in high school, so she's
Okay.
14. And then we have two little boys that are 11 and 9. So
Ooh.
I'm not changing
Busy
diapers.
ages though.
Yeah, we're driving everywhere. My
Yeah.
husband is, coaching and I'm trying to sub and do all this stuff. And so it is the best though. It really is.
So where now is your running life post
Hmm.
Olympics?
Good question. This is one of the probably hardest years I've been in since having babies and not being a competitive runner anymore. Just the last year I had a lot of body stuff going on, and we'll get into it, but menopause and injuries and just stuff. So the last year hasn't been awesome for me, but I still get out there. I've been able to run through some of the injuries that I've had, but I just like for instance, this sounds funny, but my glutes, my cheeks hurt right now. So both glutes are on fire. Then my feet were bad last year, and then I had a hammy. So just like funny little things, but I'm still able to go probably 20 to 30 miles a week. So I still get out there 5, 6 days a week.
So if I'm correct in my homework, the last marathon you did was 2019. Is that correct?
Yes. Which,
And
wait, no, wait.
Twin
No,
Cities,
it
2019?
must have
No?
been 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've had one since then.
Okay. Okay. I just pulled from your website and I saw that
Yeah.
you
I
are you
gotta
had
have
a
them update that because
yeah.
I've run 3 marathons.
Okay.
And my first one was 4 months almost to the day after my second baby, Everett. And then I've done two since then. So yeah.
Yeah, and the one in Twin Cities in 2019 was a 251, which is
Yes.
that's a good
Yep.
time.
Yeah, and then the next one was like a 257. So
Cool.
I wanted to break 250, but you know how that goes.
That's why we run the marathons.
I
They are
know,
not
right?
easy.
They aren't. They're hard.
Are you still competitive? I mean, are you still trying to get, I don't know, PRs and podiums and all that kind of stuff?
Not really. So what I
Okay.
like to do is I like to train at a certain level that gets me to run pretty fast.
Mm,
I'm not working my day around my training anymore. I
yeah.
work so I can get out there and have fun. Like today we went for a run and we go pretty early. It was 5:45 when we left. And I even said it was a daughter and a dad and then another friend of ours that lives on the street. And I said to them when I was leaving, they were adding on because they had a little bit more time. And I just said, thanks for filling my cup. And that's exactly where I'm at with my running. Even when I do jump in a race, it's to fill my cup. And
Mm,
not to say that it's not filling your cup when you go out and race and run really hard or compete really hard. But for me right now, it's that social aspect and not so much chasing a time or
yeah.
being the top masters. It's nice when that happens. But yeah, my training is not real purposeful. It's just sort of to get out there and fill my cup.
Yeah, totally get that. So let's talk a bit about that body stuff you alluded to. Are you 47 now? Is that correct?
48. I just
48.
turned in
Happy
January.
birthday. Oh, happy
Oh,
birthday.
thank you. I cannot believe it.
I
Like,
am
where did
turning
that time go?
56 in 2 weeks. So
How are you 56? You look 26. No joke.
I will be, it's a weird, I, I will be 100% honest with you. My I loved my 40s. That might be my favorite decade. Loved it.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't start racing sort of semi-professionally until I was 40. Like I
That
was
is so
super
cool.
late bloomer.
Yeah.
50 rocked me like no birthday ever did. Like 50
Oh,
was a very hard. I just felt like the ground moved under my
yeah.
feet. It was a very strange sensation.
Mm,
Um, and I am loving my 50s in a different way, but it
mhm.
took me a little to sort of get my footing on what this decade meant to me and
Yeah.
what it looked like. And it was really stepping into my power in a very different way,
Hmm.
of speaking my mind more, not worrying about what other people think, really thinking about what I want and what work I want to be doing and not chasing podiums. I always had this like weekly blog and the stuff that I did when I was with bicycling. And I always wanted to write this blog called Speed Trap, that I felt like I was in a speed trap, that as long as I was like fast and could be fast, I couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
And it really did feel almost like a trap. Like
Mm.
I stopped caring some. I'm like, I just want to stop chasing this thing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to stop chasing this thing until my body was like, well, you're not on those podiums anymore. Like, I mean, I could stand on some masters, but it just wasn't satisfying. It wasn't filling my cup
Right.
anymore.
Right.
And it's an identity crisis and it's all these things. And, people throw around this midlife crisis word so flippantly, but something happens where you're like, shit, I am
Yep.
50. I've got to figure out like,
Yeah.
it's a moment of t you need to step back. 50 demands that you step back and
Yeah.
go, what does this mean to me right now?
Mm.
And that's a good thing, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
necessarily fun. Yeah.
Mm. It's so good to hear you say that, but it's also so ironic that you started your podcast in your 50s.
I was just 50. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool to me. Like reinventing yourself, doing things that you
I
hadn't
feel
done.
so incredibly fortunate for it. I can't even, I tell people all the time, like, I feel unimaginably fortunate
Oh,
that I have because I look around and I'm sure you see it too. A lot of people when they hit 50s, things don't go so well. Like they're getting maybe subtly or not so subtly pushed out of their workplace,
yeah.
or not regard like all these things and you're trying to figure out your relevancy and all this stuff.
Mm.
And um wow, I'm just like, I have work that A, I feel is super relevant, and B, I'm just really excited about. And how great is that? Because I've been in this business a long, long time, and I've been to have something that is so invigorating and I can pour all of my creative energy into and really am proud of it and appreciate it. That is a gift. Are you
It
kidding
totally
me?
is. It is. Do you ever feel like you want to hide your age, or are you one that's like, I want to shout it from the rooftops?
Neither.
Okay.
I mean, I would say neither. Um, It's funny. I've told this before, but it is a funny thing. I never really thought about my age, but other people clearly did because I was Googling myself to find something I'd written at one point, and I put my name in, and like the first thing that came up was age. And I was like, people must be like looking into how old I am. Like, I don't know. And I just left that be. I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess that's good.
I
Um,
think it is good. I think that's a compliment, 'cause they're probably like, how can we look like her? How can we do
but
all these great things like
But I
her?
mean, I was just so busy like doing the things I was doing. And menopause was a big,
Yeah.
when we'll talk about that too. Like all of a sudden I went from feeling like one way to feeling very much another way. And I
Hmm.
didn't put the two together that it was hormonal because I was still regularly cycling. I didn't,
Yeah.
which is why I started this podcast, right? Like I did not understand that all of a sudden that power drain that I was feeling on my bike. I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm finally aging out, which is what they all say it. And now
Hmm.
I understand that when or how you age out is inextricably connected to your hormonal life. And like, there's a lot of factors to that. It's not just, I hate the phrase age is just a number, but
Yeah.
in that way, it kind of is
Hmm.
because there are people who hit it way earlier and they're in havoc sort of earlier, and there are people that hit it way later. I mean, I had friends who were like doing the same kind of races at 54, still like fully premenopausal and maybe getting into, like late coming into the transition, who
Yeah.
just hadn't felt that upheaval yet. And some people don't have the same upheaval period, right? It's all
Right.
individual. But so I mean it's a long way to answer your question. Like I am not um I have no problem saying how old I am. There are some times that I want to go back and say to people, do you know how old I was when I was doing that shit?
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Be proud
I
of
do
it.
feel that. I just want to go back. Well,
Oh, I love
especially
that.
because I was like 10 years older than so many of the people I was racing
Sure.
with. And I don't know if they always knew that. And now that they're that age, I see them sort of like whining and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like
you're
what?
so young. Like, get going.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I hear that too. I used to laugh when some of my training partners would be like, "Carrie, you go so hard from the gun, like right out the door. You can just hammer." They'd say, "Just wait 10 years,"
Oh, oh my
and
God. How many times have you heard that?
yeah. And
Wait
now
until
I kind of
you're,
get it.
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that stinker." Now I'm running with these younger athletes, and I'm like,
I
"Can
do
you
need
just
to
give me
warm
a
up now.
mile?"
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Like I was always the same way too, and now I'm like, that walking into the run is not a bad
Yes,
idea.
I know. And I
I
guess if
never
we
did
would
that
all
before, but
just,
now I'm like, three
yeah,
minutes I'm walking, and then I'll be right with
right.
you.
And if we would all just learn that if we have to do that, if we want to kind of hide our age, maybe we should run to the workout or walk the 3 minutes
Yeah,
before the
right.
workout, and then we'll feel better. But none of us think that way,
Do
or
you
at least
feel
I don't.
self-conscious about your age? Are you?
Not really. Like I was sort of on the like let's shout it, because I didn't feel so well, and we can talk about that for
Yeah.
the last 7, 8 years. But I also was proud of the work I was doing off the track. But I will 100% say that I'm still stuck in athlete mode. Like I still want people
Mhm.
to remember that I was
Yeah,
a really good athlete.
I
And
get
I
that.
love that they say I'm a good broadcaster, or, if they think I'm good at it. There's always, question marks there because some people really tell you if you don't do
Don't
well.
read it. Don't even pay attention.
But I will say, like, it's been an honor to be able to come off the track or off the roads and be able to do something and show my passion for the sport. But I still want to be known as a really fast runner. And
Yeah.
so, I'm torn at times, but it was interesting because I had a conversation with a woman that's high up in the industry, and she said she would never tell anyone how long she's been with the company. She won't tell anyone how old she is because she doesn't want anyone to put her in that box.
Yep.
There are people that know
Yep.
she's been there for over 30 years, but she doesn't need to be known as someone that's old in the company.
Well, I get that. I mean, because men or
Yeah,
women, ageism is a thing. I mean, it
I
might be
know.
more for women, but it depends. Like, I know a lot of guys in their 50s who are equally afraid of that.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there's an equal opportunity offense going
for
on there
sure.
in a lot of places, especially
Yeah,
tech, places that, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
get that. And I also have, like, it's funny you say that. I have a very good friend who's probably listening who said she let her hair go gray just to give a big F you because she's in a
Oh,
young, she's like, I want them to know. Like I'm damn good
Okay.
at my job. And I'm like, I have a lot of respect for that.
I do too. I love that.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of, she shows confidence, but she just shows power. Like she
Yeah.
can do whatever she puts her mind to, which is amazing.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of respect for that. So
Hmm.
let's I now I am my curiosity is properly piqued, Carrie, because I knew you had been through some stuff, but then you said something like 7 years, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, this sounds like longer stuff than I knew. So where are you in the menopause transition and what have you been experiencing?
So I am, I think 4 years post. I think it's been 4 years since I've
Okay.
had a cycle. And I just started HRT, just
Okay.
like in the last 7 weeks.
What inspired
Um,
that? Well, what were you
you know,
experiencing and then like we have a lot to talk about here.
Yeah. Let's unpack it. So before the pandemic,
Hmm.
I wasn't feeling right, but still had my cycles. And then I started training for this marathon. And so I thought, I was getting pretty fit. I was holding on to muscle mass because I think for one, I had a little guy. So I was holding him all the time. He wasn't super little, but he was 4. So, I had some good arm workouts going all day. And so like I was feeling good. I sort of looked the part, if I can say that. Like I
Yeah.
looked like the Carrie runner, right?
Yep.
Like not even comparing myself to others. I looked
No, no,
like
I
a
get it.
good fit Carrie. And so I was excited about it, but there were moments where I'm like, oh, I tweak my back when I did it like 3 or 4 times the week before my period. And it would be like looking over my shoulder to see if a car was coming to cross the road. Like it was weird. And then I'd get like a hamstring cramp, after flying and I'd go for a run. So like just dumb stuff that didn't make sense. And I was very tired. And then we went through the pandemic and I was so crabby that I was like, was that me yelling at my little kids? Like, really? Was that like monster that came out of my mouth? And they would kind of laugh at me because they were like, what? They're not scared of me, but they were like, what is that, mom? Like, why are you losing your mind? And I remember falling asleep at a couple stoplights.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I was dizzy getting out of bed, just like weird things. So I have this scar, and it's actually, and this is kind of a bragging point, but I got I
Oh,
have a new tattoo. So I finally, 20 years after, got
oh,
the
good for
Olympic
you.
tattoo with Dakota Lindworm from Minnesota, who made the team. She and I got in the same spot. But I have this scar right next to it. And it looked like it was getting bigger or like a little bit more white. And I didn't know what was going on. And so I thought I was like having some autoimmune thing.
Right.
And I went into the doctor and she was like, maybe you're just starting some changing. And she didn't really say perimenopause, but she's like, maybe there's some stuff
Into what, a
happening.
werewolf? Like
I
what?
don't know.
You mean changing
Yeah, she's
into
like, as
what?
long as you're feeling okay, like we'll just monitor it. And I love my doctor.
Yeah.
And she really kind of put it back on me to be the guide on my
Okay.
health. And so for years, up until I finally lost my period for 2 years, she just was like, okay, do you want to try and do something? I was having hot flashes. I wasn't sleeping at all. Crabby as all get out, which I'm a happy-go-lucky gal. So it was really kind of hard to deal with that. But
Before you had the period changes, did you think menopause at all?
no, I had no
Okay.
clue. No.
Yeah.
I just thought I was getting fit. So I was losing or my periods were longer or it was like they were just
Oh,
irregular. I just thought I
gotcha.
was running this race. So maybe I'm just getting a little bit more fit. Because I was very regular, but I watched to make sure I got my period every 28 to maybe 36 days as an elite athlete. And
Yeah.
if I missed it, I went to the doctor and got on something so I could get my period. I did not like missing a period.
Yeah.
That didn't happen very often, only like 3 or 4 times in my professional career. So that was happening. And the doctor knew it was, but I wasn't too skinny. I wasn't like
Right.
not eating. It just was, she said, I think you're just getting older. I was at 40.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I had all these kids. We had the pandemic. So
I
everyone
mean, my
was,
God.
I mean, you could blame it on a million reasons,
Yeah.
stress, whatever. Um, but I think about 2 years ago, I finally was like, I gotta figure something out. These hot flashes are ridiculous. I can't speak right on national television or international television. I just didn't feel like me. I was like
Yeah.
sad to be mad all the time. Like, that's not me. And so finally, this year, after she said we could do an antidepressant, which people will do right for hot flashes.
Hmm.
I said no to that because I was like, I am not going, I'm not depressed. I knew it. I knew in
Yeah.
my heart I was not depressed. And I didn't think she was treating me for that, but it
Yeah.
was
For some reason, that's still in some people. I think it's just a layover from the WHI where it just became the
exactly.
first line, because it
Yeah.
does work on a system that will help with hot flashes.
Right.
So a lot of women are like, I am not depressed. And the doctors should explain a little better that I know, but I'm trying to help you in this backdoor way with your hot
Yeah.
flashes and what you're experiencing.
Yeah. And she was trying, she knew I wanted
But
to,
hormone therapy should be the first course now.
and I think so now too. But
Yeah.
she was trying to honor me because she knows that I don't like to take, I never took supplements unless I
Yeah.
was super low in iron that I could not compete. I am a drug-free athlete.
Yeah.
Ask me if I, take vitamins. I don't. So finally I said to her, I just can't do it. And to be real blunt, can I be blunt on here? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
and my husband knows I'm an open book. About 3 months ago, I said to her, being intimate really hurts.
Oh, yeah. I remember that moment where I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it
Like,
was
what
like
is that?
sandpaper.
Yeah.
And she really was like, Carrie, let's just try something. So she really encouraged me just to get on a patch, an estradiol patch, and then to take progesterone. So those are the only two things that I'm doing. And if I can tell every woman out there during peri or during menopause, for me, it has been a lifesaver. Like
Wow.
I am me again.
Oh,
I still
that's,
get mad. It's only been
oh, that's
seven
okay.
weeks.
You're human. You got three kids.
I still get mad, but it's not like when they come home the second that they do something weird, I'm like, I'm raging almost. And then like, I got to go upstairs for a second and take a breath. Like, I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I can sleep through the night. I don't have sweaty, not even armpits. It wasn't my armpits. It was like the inside of my elbows and like the most random, my hands would just beat up. It was like so weird.
That is
It was
weird.
so weird. My feet. Oh my gosh. Can I tell you this funny story?
Yes.
During menopause, I went and had a bikini wax for the first time ever. And it was terrible. And the woman laughed at me and she said, I've never seen someone's feet sweat so much. They were like dripping off. I'm like, well, I'm having a hot flash and I'm having a bikini wax and I'm a mess. So, like I was sweating in places I've never sweat before.
Did it help with were you having brain fog too when you're like, I can't even
Totally.
speak on my job? Yeah.
Totally. And I will tell you, my brain would go so fast. I have to learn stats and
Yeah.
names and accolades of people. That's my job. And it would just be constant. Like I was on a roll, like a hamster, wheel, like of stats in my head. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I have some clarity. Like I can go and look at 18 athletes and not just be like jumbled.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
it's been really good.
Yeah. Cognitive function's important. Like,
Yeah, even my husband lost his mom to early onset dementia at
mm,
70. But she
yeah,
started it
so
around 65, probably at 60, if we could go back and look. But, there were times where he's like, Carrie, is everything okay? Like, I just told you, and you can't remember anything. I'm like, I really can't. So the memory's coming around again, which is good. And yeah, everything is much better.
oh, that's so good to hear. That's so
It
good to
really
hear.
is. Like
So
I really want to tell people like they don't have to suffer for 7 years.
has it helped with your running?
I think so. I feel better. I can get up. Like this is the thing my doctor kind of convinced me you won't have the pain anymore when you're being intimate. And also, she said you might actually feel better working out because you'll have that energy. And so yeah, my workouts have felt better. I still know that I have to get in the gym and do other things, but yes, 100%. I feel like a little bit more like me.
Do you get in the gym and do other things? Whenever I hear chronic sort of aches, pains in like, I think strength training, do you do other things? Yeah.
It is, I am not in the gym yet, but I'm working towards it in my own home. So I'm doing
Okay.
some stuff because to be honest, I've let it slide so much that I need to almost get fit to get fit again. And
Yeah.
I know that if I go to the gym now, I'll go, crazy and I will be so sore that
Yep.
I won't be able to get my fill of my run. So I'm working on it and I will be back in the gym.
Excellent. I'll hold
Yeah.
you to that. It
You have
really
to.
is. It is. That is the one thing that I did that was revelatory. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, because I came up when e- endurance athletes just didn't lift. That wasn't a thing. Like you were discouraged from it, if
Yeah.
anything. And when I had never, I was just like a barbell. No, thank you. I don't need that. And then when I learned to do that and started like lifting like truly heavy for strength and power,
Mhm.
it was very, very good for my endurance activities.
I know. Have you ever done one of those high rocks events?
I have not. Is that like a Spartan thing?
It's kind of
'Cause-
where they do, I think it's a 1K loop around like, the heavy lifting stuff, like throwing a ball and doing all these cool
Yeah,
things.
I did a with Dr. Vonda Wright and her crew. I'm helping her write a book. She knows the guy that puts on the Spartan events. So we went
Uh-huh.
to Fenway Park last year
Oh, fun.
and it was super fun. So hard. Like literally like you're carrying a sack, up the bleachers and around and it's the same idea. You run a 5K and do
Yeah.
like an assortment of crazy things.
That's kind of on my list now. Like I like that stuff. Be like sort of just playing, right? Being a kid again. And
It
so
was very fun. I
yeah.
highly recommend it. And it's one of those things that you go and you're like, oh, this is cool. Because there's
Mhm.
just like families and groups of people and all kinds of like, you would never look around and be like, these
Oh,
people are all just like diehard Spartan people. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, it doesn't have any of that vibe. It's just
Uh-huh.
it's
That
very
sounds
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my next, I think, adventure is not necessarily in High Rocks or Spartan, but
Yeah.
just to get into the gym and have fun and lift heavy because
Yeah.
I need to do that. So I'm working my way here, like getting my core back going and trying to do some little things here and there. So when I get to the gym, I'll be sore, believe me, but not so sore that it's like I can't do anything else.
Yeah, and I'm a big like the least amount I can do to be
Mm.
effective in the gym
Yeah.
is, I think you don't need to be tearing yourself up with a bunch
Yep.
of stuff.
And
Like
I
there's no
love
need
when
for
you
that.
say that. You'll tell, on social or whatever, just tell
Yeah,
your morning routine. And it really is like, oh, I can get that done in 45 minutes, both some
100%.
endurance work and some lifting. Like
Yeah.
that, even for me, like as a professional Olympic athlete, I am so glad that there's people like you out there that remind us that it doesn't have to be an hour of lifting and an hour of cardio. Like if you have the time, maybe you go do it, but it doesn't have to take that long.
I have this theory, Carrie, that really came to be during because I was a personal trainer and also writing for Fitness and Shape and interviewing personal trainers during the 90s and early aughts. And I do believe that a lot of that idea came out of the hour-long gym session. Like you would charge by the hour, classes were an hour, so you
Sure.
had to make people feel like they were getting their money's worth.
Yeah.
And it was people are like, oh, well, if I don't do an hour, I'm not doing anything. It just like it kind of sunk into the gestalt that like,
Yeah.
oh, this stuff is an hour. And it's taken a long time to really push back on that and be like, no, you don't actually need a full hour on your six-pack abs. I mean, no, these
Right.
classes would be ridiculous. That
Yep.
like crunches for a half hour. You're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's happening?
So
So,
counterproductive,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 20-minute run for me is still very much my staple. And I do it
No,
hard, but I
it's
love
great.
it.
It's
Yeah.
great.
And I'm
That's the
not
beauty
getting
of
in as
running.
much as I
It's
used to, but that's okay.
it's fine. It's
Yeah.
totally fine.
The
It's so
effort is
time
there,
efficient.
and
Yeah.
I also just feel like people are overwhelmed with thinking they got to go for 40, 50, 60 minutes. Like get out there, get a sweat on and get home and get, going. Do whatever
Well,
you
and
got
I
to do.
tell people also just see how you feel.
Mhm.
Like they're all like, "Oh, what can 20 minutes do?" I'm like, "Well, go out and do it, and
Yeah.
then see. You'll know that you felt like you did something. I
Oh,
mean,
one of
it's
my
not for nothing.
It's not. One of my favorite workouts is a 5-minute warm up, and then you do 10 minutes of 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and a 5-minute cool
Totally,
down. And I'm telling you, and this could be walk, it could be walk run, it could be
totally.
walk to sprint, whatever. But you are always sweaty, tired, and feeling like accomplished,
Yep,
and you are. You did something. So don't neglect the 20-minute workout. It's an awesome one.
I 100% agree. I am preaching that all the time.
Hmm.
So, is there anything else that you have in your arsenal that is helping you during all of this?
I mean, oh, I have all kinds of things, but I definitely feel, and to be real honest, like I am with probably 90% of the population where it's just like I'm living and nothing is really like, getting me to go 100% all in on something. And I'm ready for that. Like I want to kind of have more drive and focus and purpose on something. So I feel like I've gotten now to this point where in the last couple months I feel like myself again, and now I have this clarity to say, okay, I want to get after it again. I don't want to just feel like I'm half the Carrie I used to. So you say like I have a lot of things in my arsenal, but right now I think I'm kind of like I got a little fire under me. So I'm excited to go back to that arsenal and use it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I am going to pause, Carrie. Not you. Carrie's the producer name too. Is there a way we haven't talked about gut green superfood, and I don't want
Oh,
to force it,
oh yeah.
but like, what are you like? This is not on. We're not. This is a cutout in the show
Yeah.
right now. What are you using it for?
I because I am in this stage in my life where I'm not getting in as much as I want to, and I started it because I wasn't feeling well. And
Okay,
then but at the same time, this is a thing with David's like, dang, I kind of wish you had already started your HRT because he doesn't know if it's the HRT or the
right.
gut and greens that's making me feel better. But we could talk about that. Like, what do I use for any, sort of supplement for training? Like, I used to use UCAN and now I'm using Previnex. And what I use there is the gut and greens. And I have felt really good off of it. I don't have to stop at a porta potty, which is awesome.
Oh yeah. No, I mean that's useful.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the best way to segue
How to
into that.
segue into it.
Yeah.
I just think like we could talk about nutrition. You could ask me about my
Oh yeah.
nutrition because
Let's
my
do that.
nutrition sucks pretty much, but
That's awesome. That's a great segue. All right.
Okay.
All right, Carrie, coming back. So is there any, we talk a lot on the show as you're talking about getting back into it and all of that and weight training. Have you changed your nutritional approach over the years? Because you, like myself, have come through a lot of stuff. Low
Yeah.
fat, no carbs, this carbs, all the protein in the world. Like, is there stuff that you're doing nutritionally different now going, into this phase of your life?
So I will be very honest again. Like I am like a girl that eats what I want to eat because I love to eat and always have. And am I always the most healthy? No, I'm gonna be straight. Not really. I love a good Dr. Pepper, especially after a long run. It is so good.
Mm.
Highly recommend. Just gonna say it. But I have these little kids that are, I mean, really. We used to sit around the table almost, I would say probably 4 or 5 times a night with my family. And I don't know if we get to sit around the table twice a week with
Yeah.
this family
Like
of
for
mine.
dinner. Yeah.
Yeah,
It gets
there's
hard when they're all involved and stuff.
yeah, we have, 3 different activities and one's a skier, so that's late at night sometimes. And then, we have these little guys playing basketball. So my nutrition is, there's times where it's chicken nuggets and a Dr. Pepper. I mean, yes, Olympians eat that way.
Thank you for
But
your honesty.
But I also do really love, I grew up in the farm country. So, and I was the Minnesota spokesperson for Minnesota Grown for years. So I love to give back to our community and eat locally. But one thing that I've done different in the last couple months, and you guys are very good partners with Previnex,
Oh
I
yeah.
have, yeah, the gut and greens has been a lifesaver for me. I
In what
do
way?
feel, well, I feel like I have some extra energy from it. I was telling David, the owner, that I have felt better being on it. I have, I did start my HRT right when I started it. So having that clarity maybe from the HRT, but also with the gut and greens has been nice. And he knows he sent me everything. And I was real honest with him. Like, I have a hard time being on a schedule with vitamins. I go
Mm,
real hard for 5, 6 days and then I travel and I forget them all because it's not me. So he was like, okay, let's start you on this. And I like the taste of it. If I
mm.
don't like something, I'm not going to do it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to stick with it. So he really has said, like, let's get you going on this. And it's been really good for me because that is one of the things. I'm not a girl that says, I just would love to go and have a big bowl of fruit or a
Yeah.
big bowl of, I like a salad, but I'm not one to pick that over a chicken fajita.
Fair.
So this has been a really nice thing for me to fall back on. And another perk is I haven't had to stop at porta potties. And sometimes when I take things like this, my stomach doesn't like it. And so I mean, I'm not trying to be an infomercial here. I just think it's been a real nice thing to have. It's easy and
Yeah.
I like the apple taste.
No,
So,
that's cool.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to, as I continue on with it. And if I do start to train a little bit harder, how this helps me as well. And
Yeah,
maybe
just
next time I get
supporting
a
you.
blood check too, just to see what it's been doing internally.
Sweet.
But
Is there
yeah,
any
have those ice cream. I have ice cream every night.
that's
I'm just kind of a kid at heart, and
that's
my
awesome.
diet.
Do you have anything on your a glimmer in your eye of an event you would like to do as you're
Well,
getting this fire back underneath you?
yeah, I mean, it's funny because my one of my training partners, he's in the Horseman Run Club that is out there with me at 5:45 every morning or twice a week. Sorry, not every morning. I wish every
Yeah.
morning. He just ran his first marathon and he ran 2:45. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So I did say, and this is, you guys, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I said maybe before I turn 50, I should try to break 250.
I think you can do that.
Oh, that would take some hard training. But I mean, we'll see. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, even if I was in the 250s still, I think
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be really fun.
No, that's
So,
fair. I mean,
yeah.
I I believe in you. I think you can do
See, but
that.
that's what us ladies do. We believe in each other and we lift each other up. And so, I need
Oh,
more of
that
you in my life.
I like that. I like that. I like that as a goal. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
something with a five.
Yeah. No, I
But
get that.
my daughter runs now and she's, under 20 minutes all the time for the 5K. So I also think, okay, if I can just continue to break 20 minutes or maybe break 19 or, get closer to this 18
Oof.
minutes, like those are the ideas. Like I want to run with my family and it's
Yeah.
not so much about me anymore.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Well, I have loved talking to you. I could talk to you all day. Is there anything that we have not talked about that you wanted to convey to the audience about anything, but particularly in the theme of what we've been talking about around this time
Yeah.
of life and staying at it?
Yeah, I just really think, they tell us all the time as athletes, and we are all athletes, whether we're fast or not, or what level we're at. We all are athletes. We all have that athlete in us. And they say to athletes from day one, listen to your body.
Hmm.
And I really wish that I would have pushed harder for my body and not just always lean on the fact that I'm a tough as nails type of woman. I wish I would have listened to my doctor a little bit more because she had options for me, but she also knew that I am as tough as nails and she could probably keep me off of this stuff if that's what I really wanted. So it really took me to say, like, life hurts kind of right now, like not only physically, but mentally and emotionally, spiritually. And so I really think that if people are starting the journey and they still are perimenopausal, like talk to them. And also, I don't know, you know this better, but I feel like women should have a baseline even before they lose their cycle. Like, what are your hormonal baselines? And, for me, once I finally got that full makeup of what was going on, my doctor was like, Carrie, you have no hormones. You are truly menopausal. And she was like in awe too. I think she just really thought that I was able to get through it. And she's like, you're bottomed out of everything or don't even show up. And so it was an eye opener for both of us. So just keep talking to your doctors. And if they don't want to hear you, then find someone else. There's so many great people and there's lots of great resources. You are one of them.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's really that's a whole other podcast, and I've done that podcast that we're still learning so much because I think you and I talked on the last time before the show that hormone levels don't correspond with how you feel. Like
Yeah.
mine are super duper low and I feel great and I have no hot flashes and who cares?
Yeah.
When if I'm going higher at this time of life, I get headaches, I get nauseous, no
So
good.
weird.
So everybody is super individual, but to your point, I don't know what was me,
Yeah.
like I don't know what like my love, I who knows? I mean, because no one
Right.
ever looks at that. It's an interesting exercise, and I do think there's value in having all of those pieces of information
Hmm.
just as part of the puzzle, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And maybe it is finding something like MIDI Health. I've never done it before. I know you've talked about it. But like maybe it is finding something outside of just your regular doctor that can kind of just have another eye on it. But yeah, I know it's hard. Resources are limited for people. And, even for me, one of the reasons I didn't start estradiol was because my insurance said they weren't going to cover it. And it was
Oh
like
boy.
$700 for 1 month or
This
something
makes
weird
me
like that.
so frustrated when I
I
hear stuff
know.
like that.
And actually, it broke me. I was like, so I have to live like this for who knows how long. And so, but I do have a question for you because I don't know this and I haven't chatted with my doctor about it. Do you think that I'll have to be on this HRT forever? Or once I
That's an
start,
interesting framing of that question.
I know,
Um,
will I be able to wean off of it as, I don't know how that works.
why would you want to?
Well, yeah, that's the other case. If I can feel like this, I wouldn't want to. But do you do it for the next, hopefully I'll live for another 55 years.
This is such an open part of inquiry, scientific inquiry now. And
Mm.
the thinking on this has radically changed just in the time I've been doing this podcast,
Okay.
literally just in the last couple of years. Because they used to be like least effective amount for the shortest period of time, right?
Yep.
And there's still some question mark about like the whole what quote unquote risk exposure and what that looks like to someone, particularly if they're on a high dose of
Hmm.
hormones throughout, because your body is adapting and these are all unknown questions, but the
Okay.
short answer to that is there is zero reason that you have to go off at any specific age. That's been thrown out the window by even the societies. Like
Okay.
65 beyond, whatever. Because what does happen is that people will go off and then often the hot flashes will return,
Return. Hmm.
and the problems will return. And then you're creating a situation that you probably didn't need to. So it's really I look at it personally because I've thought this too, because for me it's more of like kind of just the less I have to do in my life day to day, the happier I am. I
Yeah.
don't want to have to
Yeah.
like fill prescriptions and
I
do this
know.
and have like that's the part for me. I'm just like the less I have to do that, the happier I am.
Yep.
But um I don't buy trouble. I just stay
Mm.
where I am. I'm like I'm feeling good. I
Yeah.
will take this year by year, and if something crops up that is like, well, maybe we want to change things, I will change and adapt as I come because there's
Hmm.
literally no reason
Yeah.
to put that cart so far ahead of the horse. But you can be on it. Guidelines are very clear about that. There's no arbitrary time at
Hmm.
which a woman has to get pulled off of it.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, I just cannot believe that I was hoping to feel better year after year for 7 years.
That's
Isn't that nuts?
but we
Even
weren't yeah, we're so conditioned though. I mean,
we
there's a
are.
conditioned thing and I hear so many women and I want to change that language.
Uh-huh.
So many women come on this show and say, "Oh, I gave in. Oh, I,
True.
and I'm
Yeah.
just like you didn't get like
You
no,
woke
you
up. Maybe you just
there's
woke up.
there's no badge of honor to the women
Yeah.
who don't need it.
Yeah.
There's some women who legit like things are well, their bones are strong, their arteries are clear, it's not disrupted their life. Go forth.
Yeah.
But they don't get a medal at the end of the line. It's just whatever your physiology is doing great. And there's
Hmm.
no medal at the end of the line if you're like, I'm gonna soldier through. Like none of it. Just
Yeah.
take care of yourself as you need to and don't worry about it. We
I
worry
know.
too much about these externalities, I
Extra.
think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Although it's just been really fun to finally tell people that I feel good. So
That's so great. I mean,
I
it
know.
is, I am, that is really a good thing. And thank you for coming, sincerely, for coming on the show and sharing that and talking about that because what you have just said and shared is going to change. I promise you, it's going to
Oh,
change other women who are in the same boat going, I am just going to do this. She's right.
yeah. And I will say, to be honest, and this is going to sound vain, but I asked my doctor, I said, am I going to be able to fit through the door after I start this stuff? I was nervous that I was
You're
going
worried
to
about,
blow up. Yeah, I didn't want to blow
yeah.
up. And that was
Hmm.
probably one of the big things that really
What
kept me
had
from
that in your
doing it.
mind?
I don't know. I guess I just always thought like well, I think my mom has always said, they put me on all these hormones and her, he was the nicest person, but her dad would say, they put horses on hormones. Like that's what she thought.
Jesus. Yeah.
He wasn't talking about her. He was talking
Yeah.
about horses and hormones. And then she thought, well, hormones beef them up. They're going to beef me up. And so, it was a joke, but I was like, there's some truth to every joke, right? So,
There are, I mean, to be very, and this is, I mean, it's not like anything that changes you is disruptive to your life, right?
mhm.
And hormone therapy is currently, and I really, really, really dislike this. There are some companies that are selling it as a way to get into your skinny jeans, stay in your slim clothes. I'm not kidding. I see it
Oh
in
my
my head.
gosh.
I get so angry.
Yeah.
Um, because there are women that go on it and then they feel like they failed if that doesn't happen to them. And there are women who
Oh,
go on it and they do have other they do gain weight. Like everyone
yep.
responds to their
Everyone's different.
endogenous and exogenous hormones differently.
Yep.
And it's disrespectful to think that everyone's going to have the same experience that you do and you just haven't done it right. Like
Right.
that really bothers me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I mean, how you respond to whatever dose and whatever
Yeah.
delivery is very, very individual. But I mean, by and large, it doesn't, I think most people fall into a neutral spectrum.
Yes.
As far as what I've seen in the
It's
literature
not a
and
huge
what they
extreme.
say, yeah, what they
Hmm.
say at the societies. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, all of this stuff is banging around in our heads, and it's so funny you
Oh,
say that, like because you hear somebody makes an offhand comment at one point in your life and it just
yeah.
like clings on to some part
Yeah.
of your brain. It happens to everybody.
All of us, yep. But
Yeah.
and that I didn't mention that my body was changing a little bit, but in this initial stage, I haven't changed so much. So I don't think people should think that that is the case.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. If you were nervous about starting this because you don't want to not be able to fit into your jeans or you like the way you look. I mean, it's okay to like how we look.
Yeah, it
I think
is.
that's the other thing. People are always so hard on people for being happy with what they look like or whatever, or how they perform in a 5K or whatever. Like, I just wanted to be me. I didn't want to go in
Yep.
and have everything change me. But
Yeah.
I will say, like I said, I feel like me again. So it's been good for me.
I think that's a great place to end it because that's all most of us actually want is just to feel like ourselves again. And I'm happy for you.
Well, I'm happy that I've found you through things and you educate so much and share your own journey because it means a lot to all of us that are wanting to be fit to see someone like you who is so fit continue on. And you're human too. You're going through menopause or been through it.
Been through
So,
it. So,
yeah, it's awesome.
uh, sweet. Well, good luck on that breaking 50 goal. I'll be cheering you on from afar.
Yes.
All
And I got to
right.
get in the gym. I promise you I'll do that.
There you go. All right, Carrie. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show. Come on back next week for a fascinating conversation about hormonal sensitivity and how it interplays with perimenopause, hormone therapy, and more with integrated trauma therapist and founder of the Brain Body Method, Paula Rastrick. You won't want to miss this one, so come on back for that. And until then, as always, stay feisty. You've been listening to Hit Play, Not Pause, a feisty menopause podcast for active, performance-minded women. I'm your host, Celine Yeager. The show is edited and produced by the strong, talented, and amazing women at Live Feisty Media. Follow us on social media at Feisty Menopause, and please help us spread the word. Screenshot and share this episode on your social media channels with the tag @FeistyMenopause. Share the show with your friends, and please subscribe, like, review, and rate this show wherever you get your podcasts. Word of mouth and good reviews make it easier for other listeners to find. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay feisty.